So we are now in the first week in May, and in spring and early summer all the pines start producing candles. I was explaining at a garden conference only on Sunday about candles, and it's surprising how many people don't understand what candles in pines are. They think it is something weird. So if I can just reiterate or repeat myself, a candle, this is what we call the candle, these are called candles, are the young shoots of pine trees. And if you did nothing, that becomes a branch. So this long shoot here would have been a candle some years ago. So that will become a long branch if you did nothing. So all these long shoots will become long branches. And at this time of the year, while I'm looking at this pine, these are the flowers. Some of them will scatter pollen, and then they will pollinate the cones, young cones. So when you see all this colorful thing, these are the flowers of the pines. So let's not get distracted and come back to the candles. So how do we deal with candles? So as I said, if you did nothing, that will become a long branch. But if you want to keep the tree compact, you do what is called candle pinching, because it's so soft, some people just pluck it with a hand like that. So that's called candle pinching, like that. But rather than pinch with a hand, I prefer to go around with the scissors and cut it. Now there are many ways of pinching the candles. You can either take one out or take all of them out. So let us look at a typical cluster of candles. So let us look at this one, for instance. If you come close, there are here 3 candles, 1, 2, 3. Usually people take the strongest one out. You can take it out completely and leave these to grow, or if you don't want these to grow too long, you can take half of it out. The halfway house, or the median or the midpoint, would be to take half of it out. If you didn't want to let it go, you can still cut half of it out. And then all these subsidiary buds, can you see all these young new shoots? These will also grow into branchlets. So these will become small branches. So you get density by doing that. But if you do nothing, these don't grow so fast. So you literally go through the whole tree and then take all the long shoots out to keep the thing compact. So a tree like this could take you, what, a couple of hours to do it meticulously. So that's how you deal with the candle. Literally go around and remove all the candles. That is, if you don't want them to become branches. So by doing that, you keep the tree compact. Candles grow at different rates and different trees. Now that's a 5-meter pine. Now this is also a 5-meter pine. It's literally only about 6 feet away. But this tree, strangely enough, the candles are not that long. You see, they're quite short. So I don't know why it is, but every tree is different. So these candles are pretty compact. But what I did last year, if you look at this bit, you can see where I cut off last year over there. By cutting that off, the 2 young shoots have grown over there. So I get more short and dense shoots. So the density of this tree has come because last year I took all the candles off and it's become more dense. So this is a more compact looking tree, whereas that one is not so compact. Now let's look at some other pines. So that is an only 5-meter pine. Now this pine here, you see how big it is. It's about 4 or 5 feet tall. And it's a very short needle pine. And this is called Kokono pine. Kokono. K-O-K-O-N-O-E. Kokono pine. So you can see how short and small the needles are. But even these, look at the candles on that. You have to take the candles off. Otherwise it'll become too long. And not only that, sometimes if you wish, you can cut into the twig like that. Rather than just remove the candles, you can cut into the branch, but you got to always leave some green off. So supposing on this one, now that candle is only like less than ½ inch long, so I can either take that candle off, but if I don't want it to grow that long, I can take the entire old branch off from last year. So this one, although this candle is shot up there, rather than just do that, I can take that off there. So I keep it under control. So this one, look at this one here. There are some new candles here, so I don't want that to grow too long. I can cut back into the old wood and take all that off. So that's how we keep it dense and short. So I've seen a lot of people explain candle pruning and candle pinching in very, very complicated manner. But don't get befuddled or upset and confused by what people tell you. Candle pinching is literally like pruning a deciduous tree. Like this, a deciduous tree. What we're doing like this is literally equivalent to what we're doing with pruning the candles. So they're all plants, and it's the young shoot on pines which are candles, and on deciduous trees they're just the young shoots. So the candle is no more different than a young shoot. I'm now going to take you to different parts of the nursery because I've got different types of pine. Now this one, for instance, is a Scotch pine. Scotch pine is a 2-needle pine. And look at this tree. I prune this religiously every year. So the density like this, can you see so many twigs coming? Because last year I took that shoot out. So you've got 3 growing there. So if I take all of it out, I'm going to get more growth coming from there. So if I don't want to let it grow anymore, I take every single candle off. I just go around like that and prune every single candle off. So don't get too obsessed by literally going in there and deciding which candle to take. If you just want a dense tree, literally take every single candle off. Now, once a tree is grown in a small pot or restricted in its roots growth, then they don't make such long candles. I'm now going to walk you to another area where there are other pines, and you'll see how long some of the candles are there. Okay, we'll stop the camera for a while.
Stop it.
So here we have another variety of pine. This is a young corkbark black pine. So you can see where we want to develop the structure of the branches. We grow the candles to become branches. So this is coming on quite well. And you can see that this is already a candle which has grown just this year. It's about 2.5 inches long, and it's already got some flowers there. So I've let that grow because I want to become taller to make the triangular shape. So I haven't pruned that candle. So some of these, you see that I'm going to let some of these grow to make the new leader for the overall triangular shape of the tree. So these are young trees. When I say young, look, the trunk is already like 3/4 inch in diameter. So these are young corkbark black pines. I've got some more black pines in different stages. These are the ordinary small called kotobuki black pine. These come from Japan, and this is also a young corkbark. These are young corkbark, and I will take you on that side where we got some very mature corkbark black pines. So if you look at these are very old mature corkbarks. So again, if you look at some of them, you see these candles, all that 2.5 to 3 inch long shoot has grown this year, and they started coming out in April. I didn't prune it because I want to make the tree strong. So sometimes you can let it grow to make the tree strong, and then if it's spoiling the shape, I can do this. Rather than take the candle out, I can take half of it. It will still force buds to grow at the back. So this has grown that much, I can take the tip out like that. So this one I don't want to spoil the shape, I can take that out. While talking about black pines, there's been a discussion on our channel about taking cuttings of black pine. I haven't been successful last year, but I'm going to try again. So I'm going to take some cuttings of all the black pines to see if I'm successful. So this is another type of pine. Let's turn our heads round to these trees. These are also Scotch pines. So this one is a more mature bonsai, so you can see how small the candles are. Barely half an inch long. And yet, next to it, just 2 feet away, there's another Scotch pine here. And you can see the young cones growing on the top of that. So, in a situation like this, I can take half of it off. Take half of all this off. And by doing that, I'm going to cause more little shoots to come further back in the branch. So that's what I would do with this. Rather than take all of it off, I'm taking half of it off. So literally going around the entire tree and taking just half of all these new candles off. So that's how I would deal with this one. So you can see all these have to be done like that. I noticed that all these pink tips, they are the start of the cones. You can see the cones coming. So these will become cones like that. So again, I don't want that. I'll short. I'm not taking off completely. I'm just removing 3/4 of the candle because I just want to maintain the overall shape. So that's what I would do with these trees. If I can walk now to another area where we've got some big Scotch pines growing. As I say, there are pines everywhere. Now these Scotch pines are being grown as garden trees. Niwaki is the Japanese term, simply meaning garden tree. And look at this tree. See how tall it is, about 10 or 12 foot tall. And look at the length of those candles. Some of those candles are more than a foot long, 30 centimeter long candles right at the top. So that will become a new leader, new branch, but I'll have to get a tall ladder to deal with it. But meanwhile, what I can do, so this situation, because I want the pad to become more dense, I literally take every single candle off like that. No pinching with the fingers, just go around with the scissors and shear all of them off. And by doing that, I'm going to get a very dense pad forming. So if you want to create pads, this is what you've got to do. There's no shortcut. So it's like pruning a deciduous tree as well. With deciduous trees, we keep pruning the leading shoot. And by pruning the leading shoot, you get more side shoots to grow. So it's the same process for creating ramification in deciduous trees. So pruning candles is no more than that. So this will become dense. So I'll have to take a ladder and prune all the top off. Okay?
Enough?
Yeah. As I said, every pine is different. Now this is a 5-needle pine or Japanese white pine. And if you home in close, look at the flowers on this. This one has got only like green flowers. And these could be miniature cones, I dare say. And this tree is simply covered in these flowers. If I wait another week, all the pollen will scatter. But again, if I don't want the outline to be spoiled, I literally go around and take all these candles off. But this is what you have to do. We're not wanting to make this into a long, tall, lanky tree. So if you want density, this is what you've got to do. It is said that in Japan, people who have garden trees are usually those who have a lot of money. Because if you're not wealthy, you can't afford to employ Japanese gardeners to come into your garden and spend a day or two just pruning every single candle off. Believe it or not, these garden trees in Japan, they have these long tree ladders and the gardeners climb up the trees and literally prune every single candle off. It's so meticulous. You may not believe it, but that is true. So this is what we're going to have to do to this tree. So I've dealt with bonsai and this. In case some of you wise guys or the gatekeepers say that what Peter Chan is doing is not right, but believe it or not, you can see the results. It works for me, and I'm sure it works for you. Don't get too bogged down by these complicated things about looking at every single candle, taking this one off, taking that one off. It doesn't work like that. Just create the overall shape by pruning the young shoots, treating it as if it were a deciduous tree. That, in a nutshell, is about pruning candles. So I hope you learned something from this short video about dealing with candles on pines.